Take 45. Hi guys, this is Rosa Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here to talk about the books that I want to read for the month of September. So because September is basically the end of summer and the beginning of fall, I have some summer books that I've been wanting to read, and also, of course, some more books transitioning into the fall and to the scary season. I'm also putting together a list of books that I want to read for fall. So basically the end of September, October, November. And so I'm gonna put those onto a separate video. But let's get right into the books that I have for this month. So the first book that I have here is The Red, White, and Royal Blue. And this book is by Casey McInstone. And so on this book, we are following the son of the President of the United States and the Prince of England. And they basically have this rival dynamic, and somehow they are forced to kind of get together for the media, so they know that there's no conflict in between the countries, and you know, all about politics. And somehow, somewhere, they fall in love. So I just can't wait to read all about it. And yes, so this is a good end of summer book. The next book that I have here is Beach Reads by Emily Henry. This is another book that I've been wanting to get to the whole summer, and I finally have the audiobook, so I'm super excited for that. This book also has amazing reviews, and here we're basically following two writers, and they're both experiencing some sort of writer's block. So they go into this beach house, and they're actually lake houses, and they happen to be neighbors, and they kind of don't like each other. Somehow they become friends. But what I really like the most about this book is all the background information. So it's not just like the romance, but also they both have some sort of like family situations, family drama behind it, and I just can't wait for this book. So the next book that I have on my list is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Again, another book that I heard a lot of good reviews about, some mixed reviews as well. But so this book is supposed to be a romance as well. It's supposed to break your heart a little bit, so I'm ready for it. On this book, we're following Lily, and Lily graduates from college, and then she moves to Boston, and she basically opened her own business, and she meets this guy who is probably not ready to commit to a relationship, but she falls hard for him. And then once they're finally committed into a relationship, her old town sweetheart comes back to her. And so yeah, so I also know this book has a lot of like family, like really hard family drama involved, which is why I wanted to read this. I know it's gonna be really sad, but I just can't wait. The next book that I have here is One Last Stop, and this is by Casey McInstone as well. And so on this book, we're following August and Jane. They basically meet on a train station. I know there's a lot more to this book. I don't know much about it, honestly, but I can't wait to find out. This is also supposed to be a really sweet and magical romance, so I just can't wait. And for the last of my summer romance books, I have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. In this book, we're following Ethan and Olive, and they are both part of this wedding party. But after everybody on the wedding gets sick, they are the only ones left to go into the honeymoon. So they both wanted to get this free trip. I mean, who wouldn't? So they end up going together, but somehow that hate that they had for each other turns into something else. So this seems to be really fun as well. And now moving into more mystery books, more of like a fall atmospheric read, I am going to be reading the Lost in the Neverwoods. This is one book that I actually already started. This is by Aiden Thomas, and so this is a retelling of the Peter Pan story. And so on this book, we are following again Wendy, and she does not remember anything about Peter Pan, and he comes back into her life basically asking for help to find his shadow. And there's also children disappearing, so they need to find out what is happening. I am actually 50% into this book and I'm really, really loving it. Another one that I am finishing from my last month is The 10,000 Doors of January. So on this book, we are following January and she goes to visit her uncle after her father has disappeared. And so on this house, there is a lot of artifacts and things that she starts to explore. So she finds this book called The 10,000 Doors, and as she reads this book, she gets into each one of these doors, and each one of these doors is a different world. So now she has to decide if she wants to live on the real world or if she wants to live into one of the worlds that are hidden into these books. I am halfway through and I just can't wait. So the next book that I have here is Small Favors by Erin Craig. Look how gorgeous this is. So on this book, we are following Ellery. She lives in this really small village where nothing really happens. But then one day, the men of this village go to get supplies as they go every year, but they don't come back. And so they discover that there are some creatures living in the woods, and these creatures are listening to all your wishes, and somehow your wishes start coming true, but then they start charging you for those favors they're doing. And somehow Ellery realizes what is happening and she wants to save the town, save her family, and also save the man that she loves. So this book sounds so magical. I think this is going to be the perfect cozy read for the season. The next book that I have here is Spells Travel, Sisters of Salem, and this is by PC and Christine Cast. So this book looks just so magical. This book is about two twin sisters. They are both witches and they are learning to use their powers to be the gatekeepers of the underworld. But after their mom disappears, they just want to use their magic to solve the mystery, but they kind of have to compete with other creatures as well. So it sounds really magical, really interesting. It has a lot of murder mystery in there as well, and I just can't wait. And the last book that I have for this month, it is The Mystery of Blackhollow Lane. This book is by Julia Noble, and this is a middle grade reads. I've been loving my middle grades. Oh, look how cute is this cover. On this book, we're following Emmy, and Emmy's father disappears, and then her mom sends her to this boarding school in England. And before she goes, she found this little box in the attic with all these symbols and artifacts. And then when she goes to the school, she starts to see the same symbols in the books. Also on the school, there's this secret society called the Blackhollow Lane. So she wonders if the secret society has something to do with her father's disappearance. So it sounds really magical and a little bit scary, but I know it's gonna be super cute and a really nice cozy read as well. So those are all the books that I have on my list to read. I think they all sound so magical and I just can't wait. Let me know which books you guys have on your list for this month and which books you recommend for me to read next. And I want to thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.